Hello, how are we doing? Let me adjust the thing on the mic, sorry. Is this the first time I'm starting a live not multiple minutes late? I'm at least 1 minute late. Not a bad start anyway. Oh, is my laptop plugged in? It should be. Oh. Charger, don't do me like this. Oh. It would help if I plugged it in. Alright, yes, hello. How are we doing? Give me an update, people. I know it's early. We've got Daniel Bell, we've got Rowan. How are we doing? Look at you early birds. We've got Martin Smith, who is training racehorses, which is something I've never had anything to do with and sounds honestly terrifying. Good day, good morning to a lot of people. It's going to be morning for an awful lot of people. Darshan, hello, thanks for giving me company while I'm at work. I see you. Get back to work. You're definitely not doing stuff on company time. I know you're not. John Citron, band practice later. Hell yes! Love a good band practice. Don't like a not good band practice. But I like a good one. Morgan, hello again. The stream seems to be working today. I really hope so. I'm really bored of it not working. Alan Ford, ooh, good question. How would you define a groove and what a feel? What is what? Ooh, hang on. I'm going to sneeze before I answer that question. Okay, so a groove can be basically anything. So let's say you can have any groove you like. You could have a Motown groove, that kind of thing. Or just a normal groove. But feel, you can apply to any groove or fill or literally anything. So a really obvious example would be swing. So you can have a straight groove. That's straight because everything is nice and rigidly in the grid, and you can swing it. Other feel gets a bit more subtle, so you can have a laid back, lazy feel where you're still technically in time, but you're not on the grid as such, or ever so slightly delayed, but it's not delayed enough to be out of time. Or you can have slightly ahead, so more intense sound, good for like punk or rock or whatever, because you're ahead of the beat. I say it's good for rock, but Bonham was very behind the beat, so it's a bit more ambiguous. John Sitchin, still terrible at the drums, but at least we're having fun. That's exactly the right idea. Any tips on songwriting structures in the perspective of drums, I guess? Don't overcomplicate it. I know there will be people out there who definitely want to do, your prog rocky, math rocky vibes, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I often find when I'm writing songs, especially as a drummer, there's a tendency to want to overcomplicate the drum part because that's where your skill set is. But you've got to remember what the role of the drums really is. I guess a good example of a complex groove would be something like 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, probably, by Paul Simon, with Gad playing that groove. That's a complicated groove, but it somehow doesn't overcomplicate things too much. It's not changing all over the place. It's the same thing over and over again. And so if you're going for something more complicated in the part, make sure it repeats a lot. Same thing goes for weird structural things like math rock. It does jump all over the place. But to me that doesn't sound very musical unless you repeat it a lot. It's like that rule in jazz where you're like, if you play a wrong note, keep playing that wrong note and it becomes intentional. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. There's a reason why a 4 to the floor is as powerful as it is. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. We've got Fat Travelling Drummer. How's you again? How are we doing? Seeing as we've got quite a lot of people who are here quite frequently, I'll give you the update now. So, for the next couple weeks or so, there probably won't be a live, just because I'm working on something very exciting, and I want to put all my energy into that. So keep your eyes peeled for the lack of live stream that comes up. So I don't want people getting angry in the comments going, where is she? It's because I'm not there. I'm busy working on something very exciting. But the lives will resume, and hopefully the lives will resume at slightly better times for people. The current loose thinking, and don't you dare hold me to this because it might change. I'm looking at you, whoever you are. Basically, I'm thinking of doing potentially Wednesday evenings, later evenings, here in the UK. So I don't know what that means for everyone internationally. But yes, I will say this a lot in this live. I'm probably going to keep it a little bit shorter today. We'll probably finish around 10:30, whatever that means for you, wherever you are. So if you've got questions, get them in now. But yes, there won't be lives for a couple weeks. At least while we're figuring everything out for the new exciting thing, which I don't want to talk about just yet, but it will be very new and very exciting. And yeah, I'm thinking of resuming this on Wednesday evenings, so later, probably around like 8:15, 8:30 in the evening. So I don't know what that means for all you lot around the world. Maybe check your time zones. Let me know when that'll be for you lot. Because I get a lot of people who are here at like 3 a.m. and they're like, that ain't it, chief. Or at least they're not saying that. They're very enthusiastic and I'm very grateful for them. But I can tell that's not the one. So we've got to change that. We got Morgan saying today's 2 a.m. snack is a quesadilla. Quesadilla. So bad as if I was drunk. Tasty. Very nice. Darshan, we're talking about writing drum parts. Don't overcomplicate. Got it. So play like Lars. Kinda. Yeah, but preferably in time. Ooh, subtle dig. Subtle, not so subtle dig. Jed Sticklet. Hi, any advice for recording advice on recording electronic drums? Depends what specifically we're talking, because the way I record my drums when I'm doing stuff, so I can really tailor it and sort out the timing and just tweak it however I want to, including the sound, is I actually just go through my DAW. So you can either have the audio coming out of what I usually use is the phone's output. You could use, probably there's a different output somewhere. But I actually take the MIDI and I just put that through something like Stephen Slate or any different software that you want that uses samples, and I find that just you have more control over the sound that way, and you can just really tailor it to what you need, especially when you're writing, like we were talking about writing songs. Your idea of what you want the drums to sound like can change all the time, and you don't want to sit and re-record the drums and it have to be perfect timing every time, because that gets really frustrating. And the whole point of, well, the best way to write songs is as quickly as possible with as little roadblocks as possible. So that's what I'd say. You can take the audio too, but I'd take the audio and the MIDI if you can. And good evening from Australia. Hello to you. Buzz Coma. That's a good name. Zeppi Gunjo? Zeppi. Good morning. Any update on the Learn and Remember songs for beginners? Love your channel. Interesting you should mention that, my friend. So the new and exciting thing I may or may not be working on while not doing lives for the next couple of weeks may have something to do with that specific thing. I also want to do some more videos talking specifically about memorizing songs, because it's not a subject matter I've really delved into that much, and in terms of like my chart writing process, because honestly, sorry, when it comes to learning songs, all I really do, depending on how much I need to learn the song, like say there's a song, there's multiple levels, right? So if it's a song I've vaguely heard of before and don't really know it, but kind of know enough about it, if I'm on a gig and it's like a wedding gig and they've added an extra song to the set, I've done it before where I just listen to a song once, essentially, and go, okay, that's the vibe. Are there any stabs in it? What's the structure vaguely? Is there any bit where it goes down all of a sudden and comes down? And key things you want to pay attention to. Well, actually, okay, let's say 3. So it's the main groove, mostly. If there's another groove through the song, then you can learn that too. And the intro and the outro, because the intro and the outro are what people remember. That's if you're playing to people. If you're trying to learn songs more properly, then you'd want to try and write out the song. Maybe not note for note, but again, like the core groove, say how long each section is, get the structure down, and get the important bits, so stabs, bits where your part changes significantly, and tops and tails is what I call it, or what we call it. So yeah, it's all about, like, learning songs is about making it, how little do you need to know to be able to get through the song, and that amount of information changes as you get better at playing the instrument, as you get better as a musician, which is why it's really good to get experience playing with bands and stuff, because you realise what you don't actually need to know and what you can blag, especially on drums, because drums are the blagging instrument. So Pagoni? Hi. What is a 4 to the floor? A 4 to the floor is, excuse me, 4 to the floor, quite simply, but that means the count, the pulse of the music has got 1 beat, 1 hit per beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear it absolutely everywhere, all over disco, also known as the disco beat, but you'll hear it in all dance music, minus some like more world music. But if we're talking Western contemporary, you've got a lot of that. A lot of electronic, a lot of dance music. So then a 4 to the floor, usually 8 notes, usually 2 and 4 on the snare drum. If you want to make it more disco-y, you go for the offbeat. Ooh. And some ghost notes. So yeah, that's 4 to the floor. There you go. Now you know. John Citron, good luck with your band practice. Best of luck. Have fun. Andrew Dunkley, I love your channel. I've played drums for many years, and I find your videos valuable. Videos and lessons very valuable to relearn or better understand certain fields, parodies or grooves. Thank you so much. I'm glad. It's really nice to hear from people who have already played for a really long time, and knowing that it's valuable for multiple stages of people's progression. Fat travelling drummer, thank you so much. You're a gem. I'm every time I see your name, I'm desperately trying to think, is your name Dan? Please tell me if I'm right. I feel like it is Dan. If it's not, I'm going to be upset. It's Dan or Chris? It's Dan. I'm hedging my bets. Or is it Brett? I'm unhedging those bets. God damn it. Let me know. Either way, thank you so much for the little super chat thing. That's really appreciated. Diego wanted to stop to congratulate all these compliments today. Thank you so much. You're an amazing teacher and definitely getting the attention you deserve. Thank you. We did just cross 140,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is super exciting. I'm very grateful. Thank you guys so much for all of that. I'm really glad. The bigger this gets, the more people I can help. So that's the goal at the end of the day. I don't know if anyone else has this problem with the e-kit, but the way my snare is set up, connecting it to the backbone of the set, it's way too low. Here's my crotch when I'm drumming. Yeah, so sometimes the way these kits are set up, and I think this is in the mind of keeping things as small and low as possible, especially for kids, maybe? Not really sure. But what you probably want to do... Oh, it's Roger. God damn it, I was so wrong. I'm so sorry, I deal with so many Dans. I knew Dan was on the brain. Roger. There we go. Sorry, mate. I know. Don't ask me to remember names. It is atrocious, but thank you so much. I remember your face distinctly. Yes, so I actually have right now my snare drum on a snare stand. So if you invest in one of those, it means you can adjust the height a bit better. I find that, I mean, we swapped some of the legs around on my kit anyway. But I find that mine comes to like the very top of the snare stand that comes with the kit. So go for a actual snare stand instead. That actually touches the floor. Emerson, thank you so much for the compliment, much appreciated. Got a fan from India. Hello, how are we doing? Or Thiraj? Krishna. Hopefully that's right, but thank you very much. Do you have a favourite fill that sounds complex and it's beginner friendly? Honestly, like, it's either Bucket of Fish, because that is quite simple, because it's just right, left, right, kick. And you can... sounds way more complicated than it is because it's just quick. And the mistake people make is putting the bass drum too quick, like that. But you want to make sure it's just after triplet 1. And that just sounds really cool. It sounds really cool. Sometimes I have the opposite where the snares are too high. Do you sit high up on the throne? Today is a bad example. Ultra Collector Customs. Because I'm sat on an office chair because I feel like living the life of luxury and having a back on my chair. But yes, I find, especially as a short little lady at 5'5", and with little legs, I often find that I only have very specific snare stands where my snare drum can go on and it's not too high, because I have quite a deep snare drum as well. So I'm still using the snare stand that I had for my very first snare drum when I was like 7. So yeah, I do have that problem. Sometimes it depends. And I try not to sit too high, but also not too low. It's a bit of a, depends on the situation, depends what I'm trying to do. If I'm going to be playing for ages and ages, I try not to sit too low, because it really starts to pull these muscles in here. William, I love your videos, just starting back on the drums and you're a huge help. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're getting back into drums. That's great news. Amazing stuff. Training racehorses. Martin Smith. Yes, these are. They are fire sticks. I only really play them because a friend of mine got them for my birthday. And I was like, that's nice. They're 7As, so they'll break if I play them on acoustic, but I'll play them on my electric. So thanks a lot for that, Alona. Darshan, wow, kits for kids. Thanks for calling all 5'8" of me short in the most Brit way possible. I apologise. It's not intentional. I'm just saying that most electric kits are designed to be pretty low, and I don't know if that's intentional or whether that's just like cost cutting. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. But yes. It's not an insult, I promise. It's not a dig. You short king, you. you were a working adult but wanted to progress in your drumming, what would you focus on if you had 30 minutes to an hour a day to dedicate to practicing? Oh, Dan. It depends on entirely where you're at. This is the difficult bit. The thing I can advise you on is it's more important that you do the regular practice. But if you're willing to dedicate half an hour to an hour a day, and that feels sustainable for you, that's great. The human brain can only really focus on one thing. I think it's for about, is it 15 minutes? Is it less than that? So after that certain point, you kind of get negative returns on whatever you're working on. So dedicating like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes to the thing you really want to get better at, the thing that's really frustrating you, and really allowing yourself to take the time and really go really slowly and really dedicating to that for a short amount of time, and then spending the rest of the time doing what it is you love about playing the instrument. That's probably what I do in terms of a balance of things. Kieran Stewart, how long did it take you to feel confident turning on the camera and making videos, and how do you overcome the imposter syndrome? Not that you aren't an incredible teacher. So interesting. I'm a bit of a weirdo because I think in my brain I've always been talking to people in my head, not in a not that there's voices in my head, but when I remember being a kid and sitting down at the drum kit and kind of almost imagining how I'd explain what I was doing to people. So I think on a subconscious level I was kind of built for this anyway. And during lockdown I was already starting to kind of get towards making content anyway. It wasn't specifically music related, but I got into video editing, and being on camera has never really been too big a deal when I'm by myself. I remember, funny enough, when we were at school, the school choir that I was in, we ended up being on a BBC show, and when they'd interview us for that, I'd freeze up. There was, no way. But when it's like you by yourself being a silly pillock, it's not that deep. Not really. Not for me, anyway. And I've always imagined that I'm talking to people as I'm talking to you right now. I don't feel like I'm in my room by myself because I know I'm talking to you, whoever you are, right? So even when I'm filming my videos, I know I'm talking to people, and the fact I'm not talking to a camera, I'm talking to people, I think helps separate it a little bit. And I think that might be the difference, maybe. And imposter syndrome, it comes and goes, and I think I blame some of uni on that, because it was always about like knowing who drummers were and being really into drums and drumming, whereas for me, I love playing drums, obviously, but I'm not like really up on who's who and who does what techniques, and I'm not really a drum nerd about gear or anything like that. And that's where I get the imposter syndrome side of things from a little bit, I think. But I just have a very unique skill set, so it comes and goes in that regard. And the more people give me lovely compliments like you guys do, the less it matters, quite frankly. Ricardo Musolino. Hi, do you prefer wood snare or steel snare? I think probably wood. Probably. Depends what you're playing. But I have a wooden snare drum and I love it very much. It's a delicious snare drum. It's like a tiki snare drum, which is a custom build. I didn't custom build it, and the guy I bought it off didn't custom build it, but whoever had it before custom built it. Right. Couple last questions. We've got 4 minutes left, so I'm gonna head off at past. And we won't have another live for a couple weeks, if not a little bit longer, depending on how long it takes for us to sort out a good date for live streams, because I'm going to be working on a new project which is very, very exciting, which we should all be excited about. I won't reveal many details, but it does have to do with benefiting beginner drummers. So I want to be able to dedicate as much time to getting that done as possible. Also, I want to change the time of this live stream to benefit more people. And it's looking like, for me right now, don't hold me to it, but it will probably be Wednesday evenings, later in the evening. Roger, I'm going to remember it now. Roger, that is the best advice. I was once told to practice what you want to learn and stop once you've made some mistakes. Don't focus on the mistakes. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, so just coming back to practice for a moment, it's like, for me, it's how you have to strip it back to bare bones and really take it so slow you can't play it wrong. And that takes a certain amount of restraint and a certain amount of patience, which is the thing that starts to wear thin after a while. And that's that 15-minute focus kind of thing. But the other thing, sometimes you can get into kind of a mode of like, if you really relax into it, if it's something simple enough where you can just loop it over and over again. And if you aren't practicing something that simple, then I'd say break it up into chunks that can be that simple. If we're talking not a whole song, we're talking technical little chunks of stuff. Put on a metronome, preferably, I mean, I get really into a 16th note metronome, but if that's too much for you, pick a lower tempo. And just hone that in and really get into it and really enjoy just the subtle, minute side of it. Get something that is so, like, it can literally be like 3 notes, right? Or 4 notes, and you get it to feel like it's really grooving. It can be something a bit nonsensical, but the more you can relax into it, the more you relax into the entire thing you're practicing. So yeah, that's my advice. That's how I approach practicing, often with a microscope if I've got the time, because I find that I really enjoy the getting into the zone of it and really relaxing into it, because you feel way more connected to the instrument. That's what I find anyway. Getting all deep and meaningful at this time in the morning. Rob, my man, Rob from Germany. Greetings from Germany. Love your posts. They're very useful. Yeah, dude. I love your videos so much. Thank you so much, Rob. Much appreciated, my dude. Alejandro Quinonez. Alejandro, what did you struggle with most when you first started drumming? Love your videos, by the way. Super entertaining content. Thank you so much. I'd say, if I think back, the thing that took me a while to get, and the amount of time it took, I don't know. I just remember how hard I found it. Was 16th note grooves. So 8th note hi-hats, but placing notes on the E's and the R's and the bass drums on the E's and the R's. It took a really long time for that to click and make sense. And I found that very frustrating, and it felt like my brain was just being stretched. I felt like that coming out of lessons quite frequently, was like I could literally feel, and I didn't really know at the time what this was, but like the neural pathways being formed, and it felt like my brain being like pulled apart. But it was good though. Sounds unpleasant, but it was good. Last question. Soul Power, have you ever tried playing with orthodox / traditional grip before? I've on and off. I've tried it, and I'm like, I really want to be able to do this so I can show off, but I have not got the patience. I think because the other technique is so advanced, she says, my technique is so advanced, that going back to the drawing board for something like grip, where it's just key to everything, where I can kind of play everything I want to play with normal grip, seems a bit backwards. Mine is showing off, which is all I'd want that for. Really, if we're being real, if you want to look like you know what you're doing, you know, I'd use traditional, and I don't use traditional ever, really. If actually I just don't. Maybe so. Oh, do I? Maybe occasionally, if I ever end up playing jazz, I'd switch it to that, but not really. You just don't get the same control. So really it's an image thing and an ego thing. Right. There we go, lads. I'm going to leave it there just one more time for everyone who's watching. There won't be a live for a couple. I'm saying it now. Hang on. This is the staff announcement. there won't be a live for the next 2, 3, some unspecified amount of time while we're sorting out the cool project that's going on in the background, which you will find out about in the near future. So stay tuned for what's going on with that, but the regular content will still be coming out. We're planning on moving the live streams, probably, uncertain as of yet, but most likely to Wednesday evenings. Hasn't been confirmed yet, so don't you dare go writing that in your diary yet. Don't do it. I see you. We haven't confirmed it yet, but it's probably going to be Wednesday evenings. So I'm going to leave it there for now, guys. Hopefully that's all clear. No live stream for the next couple of weeks because Emma is working on cool project. Hope we've all got that. Can I get we've got that in the chat, please? I just want to make sure it's acknowledged, because I don't want to let people down and have people in the lives going, "Where is she? She's working on something." I'll wait for these comments. I'll wait for them. Understood. That's all I need to know. And then I will leave it there. Also, Zay Clark, thank you so much. I'm glad that you love my videos so much. I love that you love my videos so much. Thank you. All right, lads. Gonna leave it there. We got that. There we go. Alejandro, my man. Thank you so much. All right. Big love, everybody. Have a lovely couple weeks. I will be back. Hopefully refreshed. Maybe not. We will find out. Only the future knows. So, big love. Goodbye.